It all began with a revolutionary idea: freedom from a distant king. The colonies, scattered along the Atlantic coast, were bound by laws and taxes imposed by a monarch thousands of miles away, a ruler who had never set foot on their soil. Imagine being taxed by a ruler across the ocean with no voice in your own government. Every new law and tax felt like a chain, tightening around the hopes of the colonists, fueling a growing sense of injustice and frustration. American colonists grew restless, dreaming of self-rule and liberty. In taverns and town halls, whispers of rebellion turned into passionate debates about rights, representation, and the possibility of a new future. In 1776, leaders gathered in Philadelphia to declare independence. These men, representing the 13 colonies, knew the risks but believed the cause was worth everything. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, stating all men are created equal, with rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His words captured the spirit of a people longing to be free, and challenged the world to see government in a new light. These words became the foundation of the American dream. They echoed through generations, inspiring not just Americans but people everywhere who yearned for freedom. Declaring independence was bold, but winning it required war. The colonists faced the harsh reality that their ideals would be tested on the battlefield. The colonists, led by George Washington, faced the world's strongest army. Washington's leadership, courage, and determination became a beacon of hope for the revolutionaries. They were outmatched, but their determination for liberty drove them. Farmers, merchants, and craftsmen became soldiers, united by a common dream of freedom. Against all odds, with help from France, the Americans won. The victory at Yorktown marked a turning point, proving that unity and perseverance could overcome even the greatest obstacles. In 1783, the United States of America was born, a nation run by its people. The dream of self-government became a reality, and a new chapter in history began. The founding fathers, Washington, Jefferson, Franklin, became symbols of courage and vision. Their ideas and sacrifices laid the groundwork for a nation built on principles of liberty and justice. Their experiment asked, can ordinary people govern themselves? Could a nation thrive without kings or emperors, relying instead on the wisdom and will of its citizens? Their answers shaped a new nation and inspired the world. The American Revolution became a beacon, lighting the way for other peoples seeking freedom and self-determination. The American story began with the belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Every farmer, blacksmith, and mother played a part in building the nation's foundation. This spirit of independence and hope still echoes today. The ideals born in 1776 continue to inspire Americans to strive for a more perfect union. The revolution was not just a war, but a promise of a better life. It was a commitment to future generations that freedom and opportunity would endure. The founders risked everything for an ideal. Their courage reminds us that progress often demands sacrifice and vision. Their legacy is the first chapter in America's storybook. Each generation adds its own pages, continuing the journey they began. The journey for freedom had only just begun. The road ahead would be long, filled with challenges and triumphs, but the spirit of 1776 would guide the way. The world would never be the same. The American Revolution changed not just one nation, but the course of history for people everywhere. Winning independence was just the start. It marked the beginning of a new era filled with hope and uncertainty. Building a government was the real challenge, a task that required vision, compromise, and determination. The first attempt, the Articles of Confederation, was too weak, unable to unify the states effectively. States acted like separate countries, each with its own interests and agendas, leading to discord and inefficiency. In 1787, visionary leaders met in Philadelphia to create a stronger system, one that could endure the test of time. The result was the United States Constitution, a groundbreaking rulebook for American government, laying the foundation for a new nation. The framers designed three branches, Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court, to balance power and prevent tyranny. Checks and balances ensured no one branch could dominate, maintaining equilibrium and fairness. Some feared the new government would threaten individual rights, sparking debates and demands for protection. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, guaranteed essential freedoms like speech, religion, and fair trials, reassuring the public. We, the people, signaled that power came from citizens, a revolutionary idea that empowered individuals. The Constitution created a republic where people elect representatives, giving them a voice in their government. It wasn't perfect, many were left out, but it could be amended and improved, evolving with society's needs. Over 2 centuries, it has guided the nation and protected liberty, adapting to the changing tides of history. The Constitution remains a living document, adapting to new challenges and ensuring justice for all. It stands as a symbol of law, order, and the promise of self-government, a beacon of hope and democracy. America's government was, and is, an experiment in democracy, constantly evolving and striving for a more perfect union. The story of the Constitution is the story of the people, a testament to their resilience and pursuit of freedom. With a stable government, America looked west. The 1800s saw the nation expand from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Manifest destiny. Americans believed it was their fate to settle the continent. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the country overnight. Lewis and Clark mapped the new land. Pioneers braved the Oregon Trail, seeking opportunity and adventure. The gold rush and new territories fueled dreams of a better life. But the land was not empty. Native Americans had lived there for centuries. Expansion brought conflict, broken treaties, and forced removals like the Trail of Tears. The frontier became a symbol of hope and hardship. Manifest destiny shaped America's identity, but left a legacy of injustice. The story of westward expansion is both triumph and tragedy. As America grew, so did its divisions, especially over slavery. The North built factories, the South relied on plantations and enslaved labor. The contradiction of all men are created equal, and slavery tore the nation apart. New states sparked fierce debates, free or slave. Abraham Lincoln's election in 1860 led Southern states to secede, forming the Confederacy. The Civil War began, a brutal conflict that tested the nation's ideals. The North fought to preserve the Union, the South fought for its way of life. In 1863, Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation made the war a fight for freedom. After 4 years, the Union prevailed. Slavery was abolished with the 13th Amendment. The cost was immense, over 600,000 dead, the South in ruins, and Lincoln assassinated. The Civil War ended slavery, but the struggle for equality continued. The war proved the nation could endure, but at a great price. It was a painful test of America's founding promises. The fight for justice was far from over. The Civil War remains a defining chapter in the American story. After the Civil War, America transformed. The Industrial Revolution brought inventions like the light bulb, telephone, and affordable cars. Railroads and factories fueled economic growth and urbanization. Immigrants arrived by the millions, seeking opportunity and freedom. Cities grew, and America became a melting pot of cultures. Wealth soared for some, but many workers faced harsh conditions and poverty. Labor unions rose to demand better rights. The era was called the Gilded Age, shiny on the surface, troubled underneath. The gap between rich and poor widened, sparking calls for reform. America's promise of opportunity was real, but not for everyone. The Industrial Revolution shaped the modern nation for better and worse. For decades, America tried to keep its distance from the world's conflicts, holding tightly to a tradition of isolationism. The nation's leaders and citizens alike believed that staying out of foreign wars was the best way to protect American interests and values. But as the 20th century dawned, the world was changing rapidly, and America could not remain on the sidelines forever. World War I shattered that isolation. The U.S. entered the war in 1917, sending troops and resources to help the Allies secure victory. For the first time, American soldiers fought and died on European soil, and the nation's influence began to stretch across the Atlantic. After the war, America retreated once more, enjoying a brief period of prosperity and cultural explosion known as the Roaring Twenties. Jazz music filled the air, cities grew, and new technologies changed daily life. But beneath the surface, economic instability was brewing. The Great Depression struck in 1929, plunging millions into poverty. As Americans struggled at home, a new global conflict loomed: World War II. Everything changed on December 7, 1941, when the attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the nation and brought America fully into the fight against the Axis powers. The entire country mobilized for war. Factories shifted overnight to produce tanks, planes, and weapons. Women entered the workforce in record numbers, symbolized by Rosie the Riveter, while millions of men and women served in uniform, fighting on distant fronts. By 1945, victory was achieved. The U.S. emerged not only as a victor, but as the world's strongest power, possessing the atomic bomb and a vast military presence. The age of isolation was over. America took a leading role in founding the United Nations and shaping a new world order, forging alliances and influencing global events. The wars transformed American society, bringing new opportunities, accelerating social change, and uniting people from all backgrounds in a common cause. The country emerged as a superpower, shaping the post-war order and taking on new responsibilities around the globe. The sacrifices, unity, and resilience of these years redefined what it meant to be American, forging a new national identity rooted in shared purpose. The world now looked to the United States for leadership, aid, and hope in rebuilding after the devastation of war. America's role had changed forever, with its influence reaching every corner of the globe. The nation now faced new responsibilities and new challenges, at home and abroad, from the Cold War to the fight for civil rights. The legacy of the World Wars still shapes America today, reminding us of the cost of freedom and the importance of unity. The 20th century was an era of transformation, innovation, and reinvention for the United States. America's story became a global one, forever intertwined with the fate of the world. After World War II, a new rivalry began, the Cold War with the Soviet Union. The US and USSR competed for global influence, building nuclear arsenals in a tense standoff. At home, fear of communism led to the Red Scare and suspicion everywhere. Yet the 1950s brought prosperity, suburbia, and the rise of television. The space race became a dramatic front in the Cold War. The Soviets launched Sputnik. America responded with a bold goal: put a man on the moon. In 1969, Neil Armstrong's one small step became a giant leap for mankind. The moon landing was a triumph of American ingenuity and unity. It inspired the world and proved what the nation could achieve. The Cold War shaped foreign policy, technology, and daily life. The era was marked by fear, but also by hope and progress. America's pioneering spirit reached new heights. The dream of exploration became reality. While America fought for freedom abroad, the struggle for equality raged at home. Jim Crow laws enforced segregation. African Americans faced injustice and barriers to voting. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s demanded change. Nonviolent protests led by figures like Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. challenged the system. The March on Washington and King's "I Have a Dream" speech inspired the nation. Activists faced violence, but their courage led to landmark laws. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Voting Rights Act of 1965 broke legal segregation. The movement didn't end all inequality, but it transformed the nation. It was a second American Revolution, fighting to fulfill the country's founding ideals. The struggle for justice continues, building on this legacy. The civil rights movement changed America forever. The end of the Cold War brought hope and new challenges. The 1990s saw economic growth and the rise of the internet. But the 21st century began with the tragedy of September 11, 2001. The attacks united the nation, but also led to wars and new security measures. America faced economic recession, political polarization, and debates over identity. The election of Barack Obama marked a historic milestone. Social media changed how Americans connect and divide. The country remains a leader in innovation and culture. America's story is one of pride and struggle, ideals and flaws. The journey for liberty and equality continues. Each generation writes a new chapter. The American experiment is ongoing. What will your chapter be?